My mother-in-law hired a magician for my son's birthday party without telling me. I found out when the magician arrived. That was 3 years ago, and it was the third time something like that had happened. There was a pattern by then. I just hadn't named it yet. Her name is Deb. She's been in our lives since my husband Marcus and I married 8 years ago, which means she's been in our son Theo's life since before he could form memories. She loves Theo. I want to say that clearly because this story is complicated and I don't want to flatten it. She genuinely loves him. She also loves being seen loving him, loudly and at every opportunity, in ways that have nothing to do with what he actually needs. A magician incident. Theo was turning 5. We'd planned a small thing. 8 kids, backyard, a cake I'd spent 2 evenings making because he'd asked specifically for a cake that looked like a train, and I wanted to give him that. Deb had asked about the party weeks before, and I'd told her the details. She'd said lovely and asked if we needed help. I said we had it covered. The magician knocked on the gate at 11:30, 30 minutes before the party started. I answered, and he explained cheerfully that he'd been booked for a noon performance. I said there must be a mistake. He showed me the booking confirmation with my address and Deb's credit card. I called her. She said she thought it would be such a fun surprise. I said, you didn't tell us. She said, I wanted it to be a surprise. I said, for who? There was a pause. The magician was very good for what it's worth. The kids loved him. But I spent the first 45 minutes of my son's birthday party managing an unplanned performance instead of being present for it. And the cake reveal got rushed because the schedule was now wrong. And Theo asked me later why I'd seemed stressed at his party. He was 5. He noticed. I told Marcus that night. He said he'd talk to her. He did. She apologized. She said she'd gotten carried away. She said it wouldn't happen again. The following year, she organized a group gift from all the family members without asking anyone, and then told Marcus that I'd been rude about it because I hadn't thanked her enthusiastically enough. The year after that, she invited 4 of her friends to Theo's school concert, but without telling us, which wouldn't have been a problem except the auditorium had limited seating and 2 of Theo's actual friends' parents ended up standing in the back. Each time, she hadn't meant any harm. She just wanted to make things special. We were being ungrateful. This year, Theo is turning 8. He asked for a party at the trampoline park with his 6 closest friends, which is extremely specific and completely manageable. We booked it. We sent the invitations. We told Deb the details. She called 2 weeks later to say she'd reached out to the trampoline park about bringing a custom character performer she'd found online. She wanted to surprise Theo. She thought the kids would love it. I said no. She said she was just trying to make it special. I said we are making it special. It's his party and we're making it the way he asked for it. She said she didn't understand why I always made things so difficult. I stayed on the phone with that sentence for a moment. She said I was being dramatic. I said I was being clear. She called Marcus. He backed me up. She called his sister who lives across the country and has watched this pattern for 3 years, and his sister also backed me up. Deb went quiet for about a week. Then she called and said she wanted to bring a special birthday banner she'd had made with Theo's face on it, and was that okay? I said, is it bigger than a standard doorway? She said, it depends on the doorway. I said, Deb. She said it was 3 feet by 4 feet. I said she could bring it to dinner. The party was last Saturday. It was exactly what Theo asked for. It was like 6 kids, 2 hours of jumping, cake that came from a bakery because I've accepted my limits, and my son's face doing the specific thing it does when he's having the exact right amount of fun. Deb came to dinner. She brought the banner, which was large and enthusiastic, and had Theo's face printed 6 times across it in a way that suggested she'd misunderstood how repetition works. She set it up in the restaurant, and the table next to us had to move slightly. Theo said, Grandma Deb, you made a banner. She said, do you love it? He said, it's very big. She looked uncertain. He said, it has my face a lot of times. Then he hugged her because he's 8 and he's kind, and he hugged her the way kids hug when they can tell someone needs it, which nearly undid me completely. On the way home, he asked if we could not do the banner at his party next year. I said, definitely not. He said, and no magician. I said, absolutely no magician. He said, can it just be the thing I asked for? I said, that's the only thing it'll ever be. He nodded like that was settled and looked out the car window. That's the whole point I wanted to say. That's always been the whole point. His face on that banner 6 times over, because someone needed to be seen loving him more than they needed him to actually feel loved. He felt loved by us. That's enough. That's the thing I'm going to keep protecting.